What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fort Myers. On today's video, I'm going to take you guys into a part of Fort Myers that everybody's been seeing on the news around trying to get into Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel, so you guys can see the destruction there. But before that, I want to show you this neighborhood, and this is off of Summerlin Road, and this area got incredible storm surge, and people here have lost everything. But this isn't on the news. This isn't being covered. And I don't think even people in Southwest Florida realize that the storm surge made it this far inland in Fort Myers. But as you can see here, this area around Summerlin got completely annihilated. And I know I have family that lives around here, and they had pretty much lost everything they owned. Oh, crap. Just think about it. 6 inches into the ground there. There go my brand new shoes. But it's nothing in comparison to what people here have lost. And like I said, I have family that lives back in this area, and they lost everything. So I just want you guys to know that despite what we're going to look at later on in this video, the areas that you've been seeing on the news, the areas around Fort Myers Beach, the areas around Sanibel, which you can't really get into those areas because you'll see there's police blocking the entrance. But there's a whole nother, I'm going to show you guys that because you guys want to see that, but I want you guys to understand that there's a whole nother side to this storm surge, flooding and wind. And it's a huge story that's untold, really. And it's neighborhoods like this where a lot of people, even in the Fort Myers area, don't realize what the people here live through. And we are right now walking almost to US 41 in Summerlin. That's very far inland. And I mean very far inland. And despite being far inland, look at these homes. These people lost everything. So yes, we are going to go and show you guys Fort Myers Beach and the areas that are more likely to end up on the news. But there's a whole nother side of this story, that is untold. A catastrophe in places that are going to get overlooked. In the area in South Fort Myers, south of Summerlin, all the way to US 41, this area, people lost everything, but you're not seeing it on the news. My family members that live in this area had about 4 feet of water inside their house. So they lost it all. But then again, you're talking about an area that you're not really going to see on the news. Like, this is an untold story back in this little area of Fort Myers. And what's absolutely insane about it is how far inland you are. Like I said, we're almost to US 41. But despite being this far inland, look at the catastrophe that has unfolded here. And so this will be the introduction to our video. Let's hop on over to South Fort Myers now and see the other side of the coin that you guys have been seeing. But just keep in mind that there's areas that people lost everything they had, but they're not areas that you're going to find on the news. These are the untold stories right here in places like this. This doesn't make front page headlines, but these are real lives. These are real people who've lost everything, and their story may not be getting put out there for everybody to see on the news. But just realize that with this situation in Fort Myers, even people that live far inland have lost it all. So after this little walk through this neighborhood, let's hop on over now and see the area of Fort Myers that you're most likely seen on the news. Let's roll. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Fort Myers, Florida. We're gonna show you guys the damage on the southern end of Fort Myers, near Fort Myers. So welcome to the southern tip of Fort Myers, an area that suffered greatly from this hurricane. Alright guys, so we're on McGregor and we're gonna head towards Fort Myers Beach to see how close we can get to the area of destruction that was the worst. Keep in mind that a lot of these areas are still off limits to non-residents. Let's try to see how close we can get to the disaster area. Flooded cars. Alright guys, so we're heading towards Fort Myers Beach. As you guys know, this area for the most part is still off limits to non-residents, so eventually we'll probably be stopped. If you remember my live stream before the hurricane, I was actually trying to stay on Fort Myers Beach, but because the evacuation zones, the hotels would not let us make a reservation. So we were actually trying to stay on Fort Myers Beach during the hurricane, and looking back on it now, it's a good thing we didn't. So we're trying to head into the area that you're not supposed to go into if you're not a resident. Let's just see how close we can get. We did videos, the mobile home park that's right to the left of the entrance to Fort Myers Beach. We did videos there and it's completely gone, like nothing left. So a lot of areas that we did videos in right before the hurricane are no longer there. I'm going to do a before and after video, but it's almost impossible since, well, you really... they're not letting the non-residents in, so we'll see how close we can get. We were also searching for an apartment, and we fell in love with one apartment complex that was real close to Fort Myers Beach. We wanted to be right by Fort Myers Beach so that we could go make videos there as much as we wanted. Unfortunately, that apartment complex, we don't know how it made it, but this area got hit pretty bad, so it's probably a no for now. And now that you can't get on Fort Myers Beach, it's kind of pointless. So I'll try to see how close we can get to Fort Myers Beach for you guys in this video. Asegúrate que ese gringo esté trabajando. Dile al gringo que no sea tan huevón. There's an Annette Fitness here. This guy's from New York.
In a Prius.
And he's got a clean pass. This guy's from New York. I've seen some scary things after this hurricane, but a Prius with New York license plates, this is terrifying. They got presidents and governors and all types of people in there too, so the security's crazy as well. A lot of important people are back in there. So say freelance press and see if you can get through. That's all you can try.
Okay.
Even if we can't get on Fort Myers Beach, there's a lot of damage just on this side we can recover. Taking scrap metal. Got that crap metal. That's crazy. Just wild. Storm surge ripped through here like crazy. Destruction here is insane. And even before you get to Fort Myers Beach, like just on this south side of Fort Myers, the destruction out here is incredible. Like when you come through about here, like you enter a kind of different level of destruction out here. This is just wild.
ID only.
So you can't even come back in here?
How about I turn around now?
You can go a little bit further. The lines, so you can't, unless you're a resident, you can't come in here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get over to Pine Ridge.
Can't get back in there. Alright guys, so clearly you cannot enter Fort Myers Beach, but there's still incredible destruction in the areas that you can still enter. You can see here clear signs of massive storm surge coming through these mobile home parks. So even though you can't really enter all of it, the areas near it that you're allowed to enter are still pretty messed up. So we'll explore this area of Fort Myers that got hit the hardest. So what we'll do, Katie, we'll explore the area closest that we're allowed to really well. You don't have to be afraid. You can just park out the side of the road. You're not going in there. You spray paint and wait for FEMA on that mobile home over there.
Yeah. You want me to go here?
Go straight.
Go straight. Go here.
Go straight.
Okay.
We're just kind of living in tents now because our mobile homes are done. What I don't get is how they've been catching people who've been looting on the island if you can't technically get on the island. That's what I don't get.
Maybe boats.
No, they had cars. So how were they able to get down there? That's what's kind of weird, you know? So from that point beyond, if you're not a resident, you can't go back in there.
I think there's really good damage over here, and I think we need to cover that because that hasn't been covered as much. I think Fort Myers Beach has been overcovered.
Overcovered, you can't even get in.
Yeah.
I mean overcovered, you can't even get in. Got that Bama right there. Hey, yeah, you better bet that Bama down there. Dude, this is crazy. You can see right on Summerlin when a storm surge stops. You don't live in the area, they're just not letting you through. These are the trucks that pick up the landscaping debris. You can see it's like a big truck with a trailer, and it's got a claw in the middle. This is a town that's on the east coast of Florida, so the police that's helping here, they're not even from this area, they're from the other coast. See a lot of police from Broward County has been deployed out here to help. now on Summerlin heading towards Senate. Of course, you're not really going to be able to get on the islands, but you can at least see what it looks like just on the outskirts. Just absolutely total destruction. Hold on, Kate. You can't go into that community over there. This is where they caught the people looting. You can go in here. It smells horrendous. The salt water because the salt water is alive, so it kind of like dies. This is where they caught the people that were looting. This area of Fort Myers got completely annihilated. And to think that somebody would try to take advantage of this situation to go looting for Nikes and Jordans, it's just ridiculous. But that's exactly what took place here. Young group of people, instead of trying to figure out how they could help, figure out how they could take advantage of the situation. There's a Coach store here. Got that Bama right there. You can actually see on this store where the storm surge kind of came in and just piled up behind this wall here. So you can imagine water's just pushing through here and just getting jammed. To give you an idea of what came through this area, it's just horrendous stuff. And you can actually see the water line right there on the glass. That's how high the water came up. So if you were out here, the water would have pretty much covered my head where I'm at right now. That's wild. I mean, you can see here, this is pretty much artifacts from the ocean. Coconuts and seaweeds and stuff like that. And this side of Fort Myers near Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach took a huge hit. As you can see, the Coach store had water up to there. So we're talking, well, 8 feet of storm surge here. And you can see that within this garbage is pretty much artifacts from the sea. And you'll find a lot of fishing hooks. These are mangroves. I have on my other keychain a fishing lure that I found cleaning up storm surge from Hurricane Irma. But it was only like a few feet of storm surge. It was nothing compared to this. But I found, in stuff like this, I found a little fishing lure. And I actually have it on my other keychain. But as you can see here, guys, we're talking 8 foot. Look at it here. You can see the line a little bit closer. You can just, I just stepped on something. You wouldn't even want me to tell you what I stepped on. But you can see here where the lines are. I mean, we're talking water came up to here to here. You can see the line coming off the building. So water to here. We're talking almost 8 feet of water. There's food products here, maybe from somebody's fridge. I mean, you're talking anything that was inside of any of these properties, from food to personal belongings, would have just ended up scattered here. And to think that where I'm walking up now, I would have still had water 3 feet above my head. It's just insane. The smell is absolutely repulsive. You see here the roof from a mobile home, but there's no mobile home here for miles. It's interesting how along the top of this building, the brand signs actually held up while everything behind them didn't. And if you look really carefully, you'll see there's actually fish here. The smell is absolutely repulsive. You'll see there's a couch there, but there's no houses within this whole area. So that couch, who knows how far away that couch could have been, miles away from where it is now, where it originated. The smell is repulsive. It's like the smell of dead fish mixed with oil and perhaps maybe other chemicals. And I can tell you that we're probably going to have red tide, because it's only logical that some of these oils, and I mean, if you look at the stuff here, it's pretty nasty. There's also vehicles scattered around here and somewhat dangerous, several propane tanks outside of this cheeseburger place. You can see there's two vehicles here. There's this Ford Cobra, and it looks like for sure it landed here. Who knows how far away it floated from, but this Ford Cobra looks like pretty much it just landed there. And you can see how the wheels are kind of dug into the ground from the water moving around it. Water inside the headlights. And again, where we stand now, 8 feet of water would have been floating over our heads. This is quite painful to watch. I myself am a fan of American Muscle. And you can clearly tell that this vehicle probably did not originate in this parking lot. Definitely a classic. Could have been inside somebody's garage or their front yard, but now it is in a parking lot. And it's actually got Oklahoma license plates. I find it odd how almost every single business name is still there because the business signs held it up. Here's the Nike store. Ironically, a t-shirt that says "Just Do It" outside the Nike store. It didn't make it outside the store, it just made it right to here. Very interesting. And it never ceases me in amazement to find comments like, why are people throwing those things away? Like I said before, salt water is very corrosive, and anything that it touches will inevitably rust away. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but if it was submerged in salt water, eventually the lifespan of those items will be very short-lived. They're doomed for destruction. And where does all the garbage go? It goes to a landfill. There are several landfills in the area, and they will be piled up. You can actually see in this store here where the storm surge pushed through the building. I suspect this is likely where they arrested the looters, because you can see all types of Nike merchandise, boxes, so broken glass already. You can see all the shoes spread out through here. So this is very likely where they arrested the looters. They probably came in here to steal this merchandise that's pretty much outside the store. So this is what the looters came for that were arrested on the news. As you can see, this merchandise is pretty much outside the store at this point. The smell is definitely very nasty. But as you can see, there's pretty much Nike merchandise everywhere. And undoubtedly, this is what lured these people to come loot in this area. So with shoes and merchandise sitting right outside the store, undoubtedly to somebody with a brain the size of a peanut, this would seem attractive. But you can see here all this merchandise that's never been worn, massive amount of brand new shoes. They figured that they could just come in here and take this stuff. Unfortunately, They have a new husband at the Lee County Marcino Motel. But as you can see, there's definitely new merchandise all through here. Adidas, all this stuff. But it doesn't mean it's yours for the taking. Never ceases to amaze me how simple-minded some people can be to think that an opportunity like this exists in the loss of other people. But they're going to be assigned a new husband at the Lee County Motel. Clearly scattered through here are lots of shoes. It's a Nike shoe store, so there are shoes scattered all through this parking lot. And I guess that was too much temptation for some people. Somebody spray painted flood sale on that sign and stood it up. That's kind of interesting. And even here in this parking lot, you can see that there's just shoes from the Nike store scattered everywhere in all directions. Over there, it's done. Shell Point. This is the entrance to Sanibel.
It's cool.
Areas of absolute worst destruction. As you can see, you're not allowed to go in. Obviously, I can't really record the operation here because it looks pretty like heavy duty, but there's armed vehicles all around us, and it's definitely pretty heavy duty. But yeah, if you're not a resident, you cannot enter these areas off the causeway, so we're turning around. But yeah, it's a pretty heavy duty presentation there. We're seeing cars that got flooded here. That road down on there. Mobile homes by the beach. Makes sense. police here from Broward County, from Margaret, Florida. Careful, get away from that. Don't get behind that. You want to grab my windshield? How far are you gonna go, bro?
Right here. Chill. Wow.
We gotta record.
Continue pushing it up, or what are you been able to go?
I gotta see what I'm phoning here. Here we have Walton County, which is over by the Panhandle, and they're bringing a big caravan of their officers to help here.